They told you it was ancient history. They said it was mythology, dusty scrolls written by primitive people who didn't understand the world. They buried the Book of Enoch for a reason, and that reason is becoming clearer every single day. Because what Enoch saw over 10,000 years ago isn't just coming back. It's already here. You feel it, don't you? That sense that something fundamental has changed in the world, the acceleration, the chaos, the feeling that we've crossed a line we can't uncross. You're not imagining it. Enoch warned us this would happen. He wrote it down, encoded it in visions that the early church fathers tried desperately to erase from history. But you can't kill truth. You can only delay it. Enoch wasn't just a prophet. He was a witness. He walked between dimensions, stood before the throne of God, and was shown the entire timeline of human history, past, present, and future. And what he saw terrified even the angels. He saw the fall of the Watchers, those celestial beings who descended to earth and corrupted humanity with forbidden knowledge. He saw the birth of the Nephilim, those giants born from the union of divine and mortal. He saw the flood that wiped the slate clean, but he also saw the return, the cycle, the pattern repeating itself in the final days. Think about what the Watchers did. They came down from their posts and gave humanity knowledge we weren't ready for. They taught metalworking for weapons. They taught sorcery and spells. They taught astrology and the manipulation of consciousness. They taught seduction and genetic manipulation. They didn't come as saviors. They came as infiltrators, and their so-called gifts destroyed the natural order of things. Power without wisdom, technology without understanding, progress without soul. Sound familiar? Look around you right now. Artificial intelligence is advancing faster than anyone can keep up with. Scientists are editing human DNA like it's a video game. We're building machines that think, that learn, that soon won't need us at all. We're creating hybrid realities where people don't know what's real anymore. Virtual worlds are becoming more appealing than actual life. Consciousness itself is being hacked with chemicals, frequencies, and digital manipulation. The Watchers have returned. They're just wearing different masks this time. Enoch saw this coming. He described a time when humanity would once again be given knowledge that would lead to its own destruction. Not because the knowledge itself is evil, but because we're approaching it the same way we did before, with pride instead of humility, with greed instead of wisdom, with a desperate hunger for power instead of the patient cultivation of understanding. The prophecy isn't about a single event. It's about a pattern, a spiritual invasion disguised as progress. And we're living through it right now. The Book of Enoch describes how the Watchers taught humans to create weapons that could slaughter each other efficiently. Today, we have weapons that can erase entire cities in seconds. Drones that kill with the push of a button thousands of miles away. Biological weapons that can target specific genetic markers. Psychological weapons that can break a person's mind without ever touching their body. We've become so good at destruction that we've made an art form out of it. The Watchers taught genetic manipulation that created monstrous hybrids. Today we're editing embryos, creating designer babies, and playing God with CRISPR technology. We're mixing human DNA with animal DNA in laboratories. We're growing organs in pigs for human transplant. We're creating artificial wombs. We're discussing uploading consciousness to machines. We're blurring every line that was meant to remain sacred. The Watchers taught consciousness manipulation. Today, we have algorithms that know you better than you know yourself, feeding you exactly what will keep you distracted, divided, and dependent. Every click, every scroll, every pause is being measured and used against you. Your attention is being sold to the highest bidder. Your thoughts are being shaped by invisible forces that understand human psychology better than most therapists. Your reality is being constructed by corporations that profit from keeping you anxious, angry, and afraid. Every single warning Enoch gave us is playing out in real time. But here's what they don't want you to understand. Enoch didn't just warn us about the danger. He showed us the way out. Enoch walked with God. That phrase appears twice in Genesis, and both times it's describing something most people completely miss. Walking with God doesn't mean being religious. It doesn't mean following rituals or obeying institutions. It means living in harmony with divine law, the actual structure of reality itself, not the artificial systems built to control you. Enoch wasn't special because he was chosen. He was chosen because he made himself ready. He tuned himself to a higher frequency. He lived consciously while everyone around him was sleepwalking through existence. And because of that awareness, he didn't die. He was taken, changed, raised up. He became Metatron, one of the highest archangels, keeper of divine records. A human being who became something more, not through death, not through sacrifice, but through conscious evolution. That's the part of the story they really don't want you to know. Because if you understood that the gap between human and divine isn't as wide as you've been taught, if you realized that rising up is possible for anyone willing to do the inner work, if you remembered that you're not just flesh and blood but eternal consciousness having a temporary physical experience, the entire control system would collapse. Fear only works when you believe you're powerless. Religion only works when you believe you need a middleman to reach God. Governments only work when you believe you need them to survive. Corporations only work when you believe happiness comes from what you buy. All of it depends on you staying asleep, staying small, staying afraid. Enoch woke up, and his story is a blueprint for what happens when you do the same. But let's get back to the prophecy, because this is where it gets intense. Enoch didn't just describe what the Watchers did in the past, he described what would happen when their influence returned. He spoke of a time of great confusion, when truth would be harder to find than gold, when knowledge would increase but wisdom would vanish, when people would have access to everything yet understand nothing. Does that sound like the world you're living in? We have more information available than any generation in history, yet depression rates are at an all-time high. We're more connected than ever through technology, yet loneliness is epidemic. We're living longer than our ancestors, yet we're sicker, more medicated, more dependent on systems that don't actually heal us. We're smarter in some ways and more foolish in others. We've built a civilization that can send robots to Mars, but can't figure out how to feed everyone on Earth. This isn't just irony. This is the pattern Enoch warned about. Knowledge without wisdom leads to chaos. And chaos is exactly what we're experiencing. The Nephilim weren't just giants in physical form. They represented something darker, beings of immense power with no moral compass, no connection to the divine order, no respect for natural law. They were hybrids in the worst sense, all strength and no soul. And the world became filled with violence because of them. Today's Nephilims don't tower over us physically. They tower over us economically, technologically, politically. They're the ones building systems that track your every move. They're the ones deciding what information you see and don't see. They're the ones engineering foods that slowly poison you, medicines that keep you dependent, entertainment that numbs your mind, and belief systems that keep you fighting each other instead of questioning them. They're not monsters with fangs. They're boardroom executives, algorithm designers, media moguls, and political puppets. And just like the original Nephilim, they operate without wisdom, without conscience, without connection to anything beyond their own hunger for control. Enoch saw them, he warned us, and he told us what happens next. According to the prophecy, there comes a moment of reckoning, a time when the corruption becomes so complete, the spiritual pollution so thick, that divine intervention becomes necessary, not as punishment, but as course correction. The flood in Enoch's time wasn't about anger, it was about reset. The old world had become so corrupted by the influence of the Watchers that continuing down that path would have destroyed humanity entirely. We're approaching that threshold again. Not necessarily a flood of water, but a flood of truth. A washing away of the lies, the systems, the illusions that have kept humanity in spiritual chains for thousands of years. And it's not going to come from the outside. It's going to come from within. This is what most people miss about Enoch's prophecy. Yes, he warned of judgment. Yes, he described cosmic forces and angelic armies and divine justice. But the real message is simpler and more powerful. The change begins with individuals waking up. Enoch didn't save the world. He saved himself. He became aware. He tuned himself to truth. And by doing so, he became a light in the darkness, a signal that others could follow. That's how this works. The prophecy isn't about some external savior swooping in to fix everything. It's about people remembering who they really are and refusing to participate in the systems that depend on their ignorance. Every person who wakes up becomes a problem for those in control. Every mind that questions becomes a crack in the foundation. Every soul that reconnects with its divine nature becomes immune to the manipulation that keeps this whole house of cards standing. That's what's happening right now. All over the world, people are waking up. Not in some New Age fantasy sense, but in a real, tangible way. They're questioning narratives they used to accept without thought. They're turning off their screens and turning inward. They're choosing health over convenience, truth over comfort, integrity over approval. They're remembering that their thoughts have power, their words create reality, their choices matter. This is the prophecy coming to life. Not in the way Hollywood taught you to expect, with fire raining from the sky and angels with flaming swords, but in the quiet rebellion of ordinary people, choosing differently, choosing consciousness over sleep, choosing wisdom over information, choosing spirit over system. And the powers that gained from our unconsciousness are terrified. That's why they're working overtime to distract you, to divide you, to keep you arguing about things that don't matter while the real change happens beneath the surface. That's why they're pushing harder than ever to keep you medicated, entertained, afraid, and dependent. Because they know what Enoch knew. Once you wake up, you can't be controlled anymore. The prophecy describes a separation. Not everyone will make it through what's coming, not because they're being punished, but because they're choosing to stay asleep. They're choosing the comfort of the familiar over the uncertainty of truth. They're choosing the system over their soul. And that's their right. Free will has always been part of the design. But for those who are ready, for those who feel that pull towards something deeper, for those who've been sensing that everything they were taught is incomplete, this is your moment. This is what you were born for. Not to be saved by someone else, but to save yourself, to remember, to rise. Enoch walked alone for a long time before he was taken. He was probably misunderstood by most people around him. They probably thought he was strange, too intense, too focused on things that didn't seem practical. But he didn't need their approval. He knew something they didn't. The physical world is temporary, but consciousness is eternal. The body dies, but awareness continues. This life is a test, a school, a training ground, and what you do here determines where you go next. That's what the prophecy is really about. Not apocalypse in the sense of destruction, but apocalypse in its original meaning, revealing, the uncovering of what's always been true but has been hidden. And what's being shown right now is that humanity stands at a crossroads. One path leads to more of the same, more control, more technology without wisdom, more separation from source, more spiritual death disguised as material progress. That path ends the same way it did in Enoch's time, with a reset so complete that only the core truths survive. The other path leads to conscious evolution, to individuals waking up and choosing differently, to communities forming around awareness instead of around entertainment, to systems of healing instead of systems of management, to a world where technology serves spirit instead of replacing it. But you don't get to sit on the fence much longer. The acceleration is forcing everyone to choose, and the choice isn't intellectual, it's energetic. It's about where you put your attention, your energy, your faith. It's about whether you're willing to question everything you've been taught and trust what your soul already knows. Enoch had access to the same divine spark you do. He breathed the same air. He had the same fears, doubts, and human weaknesses. But he made a choice to look up instead of around, to listen inward instead of outward, to walk toward truth even when it meant walking alone. That choice is still available. It's always been available. But the prophecy suggests that the window for making it is narrowing. Not because God is impatient, but because the forces Enoch warned about are accelerating. The corruption is deepening. The spiritual warfare is intensifying. And soon it's going to be very difficult to remain neutral. You're going to have to decide, are you a soul having a human experience, or are you just a biological machine programmed by your environment? Are you eternal consciousness temporarily wearing flesh? Or are you nothing more than chemical reactions and electrical impulses? Are you connected to something vast and divine, or are you alone in a meaningless universe? Enoch chose the first option in each case. And look what happened to him. He didn't die. He didn't suffer. He didn't get punished for his awareness. He rose. He changed form. He became something humanity was always meant to become but forgot was possible. That possibility still exists. The Watchers want you to forget it. The systems want you to doubt it. The voices in your head that have been programmed by a lifetime of conditioning want you to dismiss it as fantasy. But deep down, in the quiet moments when the noise stops, you know it's true. You've always known you're more than this. You've always felt that there's something beyond what your eyes can see. You've always sensed that the official story is incomplete, that the mainstream narrative is missing the most important parts, that what you were taught about life, death, and reality is a sanitized version designed to keep you manageable. Enoch's prophecy is happening right now because we've reached the same point of corruption that existed before the flood. The same forbidden knowledge is being handed out like candy. The same separation from divine order is being celebrated as progress. The same confusion between power and wisdom is leading us toward destruction. But this time, the reset doesn't have to be external. It can be internal. Humanity doesn't have to drown in a literal flood. We can choose to wash ourselves clean through awareness, through conscious change, through remembering who we actually are beneath all the programming. That's what the prophecy was always pointing toward. Not a date on a calendar, not an event you wait for, but a process you participate in. A change that begins the moment you stop outsourcing your spiritual authority to institutions and start claiming it for yourself. The Watchers fell because they valued power over harmony. The Nephilim destroyed because they had strength without conscience. The people of Enoch's time perished because they chose the illusions over the truth. But Enoch survived, not physically, but spiritually, because he made a different choice. And that choice is the same one being offered to you right now, in this moment, as you read these words. You can keep scrolling, keep consuming, keep going through the motions of a life that feels increasingly hollow. Or you can stop. You can turn inward. You can ask the hard questions. You can face the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding. You can start living as if you're more than just flesh, as if your choices matter beyond this lifetime, as if you have a soul that continues long after your body stops. Enoch walked with God, not because he was perfect, but because he was present. Not because he had all the answers, but because he was willing to ask the questions no one else would ask. Not because he was chosen by random chance, but because he chose to become someone who could be chosen. The prophecy is clear. What happened before will happen again. The Watchers have returned in new forms. The forbidden knowledge is spreading faster than wisdom can keep up. The corruption is deepening. The separation from source is widening. The chaos is building. But the prophecy also says that those who walk with God, those who live in harmony with divine law, those who remember their true nature, they will be taken. Not necessarily in physical form like Enoch, but in consciousness. They will rise above the chaos. They will see through the illusions. They will become immune to the manipulation. They will pass through the coming change intact because they've already done the inner work. That's the real prophecy. That's the real hope. Not rescue from the outside, but remembering from the inside. Not salvation granted by someone else, but awakening claimed by yourself. The 10,000-year-old prophecy of Enoch is happening right now because the cycle is completing. History is rhyming. The same spiritual battle is being fought, and you're not watching from the sidelines. You're in it. You're being asked to choose. You're being shown what matters and what doesn't. You're being given the opportunity to remember what you came here to do. Enoch's story isn't ancient history. It's instruction. It's a map. It's proof that humans can become more than what they appear to be, that consciousness can evolve, that the divine isn't separate from you but lives within you, waiting to be remembered. The prophecy warns that most won't make it through. Most will choose comfort over truth, sleep over awareness, system over soul. And that's okay. Everyone is exactly where they need to be in their own evolution, but for those who are ready, for those who feel the call, for those who've been waiting their whole lives for something they couldn't name, this is it. This is the moment Enoch saw. This is the test. This is the opportunity. The world is breaking apart so something new can be born. The old systems are failing so better ones can rise. The lies are being exposed so truth can finally breathe. But it's not going to happen to you. It's going to happen through you if you let it. If you choose awareness over comfort. If you choose truth over convenience. If you choose to walk with God the way Enoch did, not as a religious act, but as a return to what you've always been. The signs are everywhere if you know how to read them. The increase in natural disasters isn't just climate change. It's the planet responding to the frequency of human consciousness. The mental health crisis isn't just a medical issue. It's the soul rejecting a way of life that goes against its nature. The political chaos isn't just bad leadership. It's old structures collapsing under the weight of their own corruption. Enoch described visions of stars falling from heaven. In ancient symbolism, stars often represent spiritual authorities, leaders, those who are supposed to guide humanity. Look around. How many of your heroes have fallen? How many institutions have been exposed? How many leaders have shown their true faces? The stars are falling exactly as predicted, and with each one that drops, more people are forced to find their own light instead of borrowing someone else's. The prophecy speaks of a time when the secrets of the earth would be made known. We're living in the age of information leaks, whistleblowers, and classified documents being released. Nothing stays hidden anymore. The internet was supposed to be a tool of connection, but it's become a tool of exposure. Every dark corner is being lit up. Every hidden thing is being brought into the open. Truth is spilling out faster than the gatekeepers can contain it. Enoch wrote about the books being opened. In his vision, he saw records of every human life, every deed, every thought being reviewed. Today, we have something eerily similar. Digital records of everything you've ever done online, every purchase, every search, every conversation. The difference is, Enoch's books were kept by divine beings for the purpose of justice. Our books are kept by corporations for the purpose of profit and control. That's the corruption at work. Taking what was meant to be sacred and turning it into something that serves the few instead of the many. Taking what was designed to help souls evolve and twisting it into a cage. The modern surveillance state is a dark mirror of the cosmic records Enoch described. Same concept, opposite intention. But here's where it gets interesting. The prophecy also describes a final sorting, a separation of those who choose light from those who choose darkness. Not by some external judge in the sky, but by the natural consequences of consciousness. Your vibration determines your destination. Your frequency determines your reality. This isn't religious dogma. This is physics. Everything in the universe operates on frequency. Water freezes at one frequency and boils at another. Radio waves exist at specific frequencies. Your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions, they all have a measurable frequency. And like attracts like. You don't go to a place after death. You go to a frequency. And that frequency is determined by how you lived, what you valued, what you became. Enoch understood this. That's why he focused so much on righteousness, not as moral superiority, but as being in right relationship with divine law. Living in a way that raises your frequency instead of lowering it. Making choices that connect you to source instead of separating you from it. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being conscious. The prophecy describes two groups emerging in the end times. One group will cling to the old ways, the old systems, the old comforts. They'll trust in technology to save them, in governments to protect them, in money to secure them. They'll believe the official narratives even as those narratives become more absurd. They'll take the easy path because the hard path requires too much sacrifice. The other group will let go of everything they thought they needed. They'll walk away from careers that don't serve their soul. They'll distance themselves from relationships built on convenience rather than truth. They'll question everything, even their own beliefs. They'll choose the hard path because they understand that easy paths lead to familiar destinations and they're ready for somewhere new. Which group are you in? More importantly, which group do you want to be in? Because the choice is being offered right now, and it won't stay open forever. Enoch's prophecy isn't just about what's coming. It's about what's already here. The Watchers aren't coming back. They never left. They've been operating in the shadows for millennia, influencing human development, steering civilizations toward specific outcomes, keeping humanity just evolved enough to be useful, but not so evolved that we become dangerous to their plans. Every major religion has been infiltrated. Every government has been compromised. Every institution has been captured. Not by some cartoon villain plotting in a secret base, but by the slow, patient corruption that happens when power concentrates in the hands of those who value control over truth. But the prophecy also promises that their time is ending. Not because someone's going to swoop in and defeat them, but because more and more people are seeing through the game. The manipulation only works when it's invisible. Once you can see it, once you understand how it operates, once you recognize the patterns, it loses its power over you. That's what waking up means. Not gaining new information, but seeing through old illusions. Not learning something you didn't know, but remembering something you forgot. Not becoming someone different, but returning to who you've always been beneath the layers of conditioning. Enoch walked between worlds because he understood that the division between physical and spiritual is artificial. Everything is energy. Everything is consciousness. The only difference is density, frequency, vibration. Your body is just consciousness slowed down enough to become tangible. Your thoughts are consciousness moving at a different speed. The divine is consciousness at its highest, purest frequency. You're not separate from any of it. You're a point of consciousness experiencing itself from a particular perspective. And when you die, you don't cease. You just change perspective. Like taking off a virtual reality headset. The game ends, but the player remains. Enoch knew this. That's why he wasn't afraid of death. That's why he could be taken without dying, because he understood death isn't real in the way most people think. It's just a transition, a change of state, like water becoming ice or steam. The H2O doesn't cease to exist, it just takes a different form. The prophecy warns that in the final days, people will be so caught up in the physical world that they'll forget the spiritual entirely. They'll worship technology as if it's God. They'll trust algorithms more than their own intuition. They'll believe what screens tell them over what their hearts know. We're there. We've arrived at that exact moment Enoch warned about. People spend more time in digital reality than actual reality. They trust their phone more than they trust themselves. They seek validation from strangers online instead of from their own inner knowing. They've become cyborgs without even realizing it. Part human, part machine, with the machine part growing larger every day. This isn't evolution, this is colonization. And most people don't even know they're being colonized because the colonizers are invisible. Their frequencies, algorithms, ideas planted so deeply in your mind that you think they're your own thoughts. But Enoch shows us the way out. He didn't fight the Watchers directly. He didn't try to overthrow the system. He simply refused to participate in its lies. He lived in truth while everyone around him lived in illusion. And that truth protected him, guided him, eventually lifted him beyond the reach of those who wanted to keep him down. That's available to you, too. You don't have to fight the system. You just have to stop feeding it. Stop giving it your energy, your attention, your belief. Stop accepting its definitions of success, happiness, and worth. Stop playing by rules that were designed to keep you losing. Start living by a different set of rules. The ones written into the fabric of reality itself. The ones that say consciousness is eternal, that love is the highest frequency, that truth always wins in the end even when lies dominate for a season. The prophecy is happening. The signs are clear. The time is now. But it's not something you wait for. It's something you step into. It's not something happening to you. It's something happening through you. Enoch's 10,000-year-old warning is echoing across time, landing in this exact moment, because this is when it matters most. This is when the choice is most critical. This is when the consequences of consciousness, or lack of it, will determine the future of humanity. So, what will you choose? Will you be like those who ignored the warnings before the flood, who kept living their lives as if nothing was wrong until the water was at their door? Or will you be like Enoch, who saw what was coming and prepared himself, who raised his frequency to match what he wanted to become, who walked with God while everyone else walked with illusion? The prophecy is clear. The pattern is repeating. The cycle is completing, and you're standing at the exact point where your choice determines your outcome. Not tomorrow, not someday. Right now, in this moment, as you process these words and feel whatever you're feeling in response to them. That feeling, that's your soul speaking. That pull, that's your higher self calling. That discomfort, that's the old you resisting the change that the real you knows is necessary. Enoch heard that call and followed it. He didn't know where it would lead. He didn't have a map or a guarantee. He just knew that staying where he was meant dying with everyone else when the flood came. So he chose differently. He chose to walk alone if necessary. He chose to be misunderstood if that's what truth required. He chose to rise even though rising meant leaving behind everything familiar. And look what happened. He didn't die. He became immortal. He became an archangel. He became a keeper of divine records, a bridge between heaven and earth, a proof that humans can become more than what they appear to be. That's not just his story. That's the human story. That's your story, if you're willing to write it that way. The 10,000-year-old prophecy of Enoch is happening right now, not as some distant event you read about in books, but as a living reality you're experiencing every single day. The corruption is here. The Watchers are here. The Nephilim are here. The chaos is here. But so is the opportunity. So is the choice. So is the chance to become who you were always meant to be. Enoch left you a blueprint. The prophecy isn't just a warning, it's an invitation. An invitation to wake up, to remember, to rise. The question is, will you accept it?